This video is brought to you by Big Bad Toy Store. Make your purchases through my personal link in the description to help out the channel. Furthermore, if you want to support me more directly, you can check out my YouTube channel membership for fun emojis and sneak peeks, or my Patreon. Links in the description.
Can the Spider-Man come out to play?
Okay, so I don't know if this is as much part 2 as it is an actual showcase of the figure, but here is Norman completed, and I am so happy with him. If you're familiar with the No Way Home design, you might have already picked up that it's not really super accurate to the actual costume in the movie. That's why I labeled this as more of a No Way Home inspired Green Goblin figure. So in case you didn't watch part 1, where I sort of brainstorm and go through a bunch of stuff, then this hoodie here was like the beginning piece for everything. It's a purple hoodie I bought from eBay, and it's 1/12 scale, so it just fits perfectly. And then I cut it up and I painted it a little bit, because originally the purple was just a little bit too plain. Like, it looked a bit too toyetic. So I think like various shades of, you know, some darker splotches like here and there, and here's me gluing together some parts, which creates like a nice sort of burnt effect because it sort of turned black for some reason. And then you can see here in the back, I made sure it extended down pretty far because I wanted the added articulation here to be a bit hidden, because if you look here, it's not particularly nice looking, but pretty much invisible completely. And yeah, the added articulation was something I was really pushing for here, because that was one of my main issues with this original figure. And I think the ab crunch in particular really helps with doing some poses, because now you can like bend him down like that. And then I added some articulation to the neck so he can look up, and that's gonna make him look a little bit better on the glider, because originally he didn't really look all that great on it. And then we can move on to the head. So this here is the original head that came on this figure, and it's really tiny. And he also has this haircut I don't particularly like. It's a little bit too flat from anything he ever had in the Sam Raimi movie. And as you can see, the paint job, it's very yellow. And it's like, it has like a passing resemblance to Willem Dafoe, but it's not really all that great. I think it's like the eyes, because here you can kind of see it a little bit more. Yeah, so I took the head from this guy here, the Norman Osborn figure, and I modified it. And if we remove the hood like so, I can also remove these goggles. So this to me is a much better likeness. I also obviously repainted everything, so it just looks a lot better. There's some minor paint wear here because of the goggles, but I don't really mind because he's pretty much always gonna have these goggles on. Speaking of the goggles, they're actually from this figure here. So this is Baird from Gears of War 3, and as you can see, it's the same goggles. Like, you can see them here. However, these goggles aren't removable at all. And so what I ended up doing was I pretty much grinded away all the plastic of the head until I only had the goggles part left, and then I just kept grinding away like here until I had it like leaf thin, and then I added a rubber band so it can like snap on. So let's get those on again, and they're upside down, so just kind of roll them on like so. And now you get the hoodie back on, and boom, I think the likeness is really strong here. Another thing I was thinking about when I was making this figure is that I wanted everything to be removable, sort of like it was all coupled together, because I didn't really want to sculpt on it, because I didn't want to ruin the original figure completely. So everything here is actually removable. So the hoodie is, I actually did some sort of cleverish things here with the shoulder pads. So the shoulder pads peg in. I don't really know if I can show it to you well, because they're a little bit annoying to get back on, but they're basically pegs and peg holes here. And I secured the hoodie here by simply making some holes in the hoodie itself and then snapping on the shoulder pads, so the hoodie can't really go anywhere. Like you see, it's stuck. and that really helped with making it lay down properly. Another thing I did was so fabric is a bit annoying to work with, but if you wet it, i.e. you drench it under a tap, then it's gonna eventually dry up, obviously, but if you hold it in place while it dries up, it will actually sorta keep that shape. It still frills out a bit here and there, like you can see here, but you can sorta like sculpt how it's laying down. This belt here and this strap is from a Juggernaut Wave Cable figure. If you imagine Cable, he's a really big guy, so I had to make the belt a little bit thinner. You can see here where I drilled a hole into this pouch here, and then I like sculpted out a peg in the belt, and then I just slid it in and I glued it on. And no, actually, I just remember that this belt strap here is actually from the Gwen Stacy handbag. So this is just glued to the belt, and yeah, you can see here where it's glued as well. I could probably paint this to hide it a bit more, but I don't really care too much. In the movie itself, he has like a pretty big like tactical army bag here, but I was a bit worried about it obstructing the articulation a bit. And kind of when I settled on making this like a more No Way Home inspired figure, I kind of told myself it was fine if it's a bit different. So another thing that's really different is he doesn't have his gigantic arm blades from the movie, which I did actually like. I thought they were really cool, but I couldn't find any good like fodder parts to make them out of. So I took these like Black Widow. I don't really know what they are. Are they like guns in the comics? I think there's something like that, but I think they just add a little bit more gold to him, and they make his arms like a little less plain, because imagine if his arms were completely green, it would just look a bit plain. And I attached them with this leftover fabric from the hoodie, and it's a bit stretchy. Like, you can see it has some give to it. So that's how you get it on and off. But like I mentioned earlier, it's a bit of a hassle to get everything off. I just like knowing that it's like a thing, that everything is removable if I would really want to. And then these armor pieces here. So in the movie, they're sort of, they're like metal grate thingies with a bunch of holes in them. They look really cool, but whenever I tried to make them, they always ended up too thick and it was a bit annoying. So I found this Expendables figure here in my fodder bin, and these are actually like the knee pads from this figure. So I painted them brown and gold, and I really wore it down. And then I added another purple strap here. And then for this one, I just squeezed it in between a holster from, I think it was a Deadpool figure. And then I glued and painted on this extra bag here. And these bags move out of the way, so they don't obstruct the articulation at all. Yeah, you see. Another reason why I really like these pads here is that they sort of fill out his thighs a bit more, because originally you can probably tell that his thighs are really thin, so they just help with creating a little bit of a better silhouette. And then moving down, these like shin guards here are from this Loki figure. They used to be his shoulder pads. So same thing here, a nice strap, and it's on there pretty tightly. And then in the movie, Green Goblin has this like rag around his left shin, so I just shoved it in there, and it's sitting there pretty securely. Like, it's removable, but the strap is so tight that it doesn't really matter. So yeah, here is Norman in all his glory. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this helmet here is just like blue tacked on. It's not really, you know, solid or anything, but it's based on the concept art where he actually pieced back the helmet again, and then he attached it to the front of his glider, and I just thought it was a really cool design. Originally, I wanted to make the helmet a removable piece, but I kind of gave up on that because I had no idea how I would avoid scratching up the paint on this head. And yeah, but anyway, thank you for watching, and as usual, check out my Patreon or my YouTube membership if you want to directly support my channel. Bye bye!
Peter. No good deed goes unpunished. We have a new world to conquer.